Enemy cruisers sunk.
Hello, Fresh Potato, back with another video, Hot Takes, episode 2. Let's do it. Hot take number 1, seal clubbing is therapy. You know who you are that said this, you sick man. But really, I kind of agree with this to an extent, okay? To an extent, hear me out, okay? When I'm in the high tier and I find myself having a hard time, dealing with either teammates or RNG is off or matchmaking is just, I don't know, I do tend to, dive on down into the low tier, right? I take my talents to tier 4 and tier 5 just to get a good game maybe, or to feel better about myself. Okay. Yeah, so I guess in a way, it is kind of therapy for some of us veteran players. Okay, we'll sometimes come on down to the low tier and take advantage of the new player that doesn't know not to turn broadside in their cruisers, right? If you are a battleship main like me, you are looking for that when you are playing in the low tier because they're everywhere, right? Broadside cruisers to the left and to the right, right? But it's not good, okay? For sometimes, it's not good for us veteran players to be coming down here taking advantage of the new players. You don't want to discourage anyone, right? I know some of you guys are like, who cares, right? F them kids, right? But hey, like I said, I do agree with this. I do agree to an extent. Okay. Yeah. Hot take number 2, tier 6 shouldn't go against tier 7. I kind of agree with that. But then where would tier 6 go? Only tier 5? I mean, but it does make sense. I understand this because yes, tier 6 is dominated by tier 7, right? Tier 7, there's just this giant gap in between these two tiers, right? You cannot, when you're in a game and you're in a tier 6 ship and you're going against tier 7, you are relying more on your teammates that are playing tier 7 ships to carry that match. You are most likely will be blown into the Shadow Realm against a tier 7 ship. There is a major difference here. So this hot take I do agree with. Yes. But then it kind of throws off the game if tier 6 doesn't go up against tier 7. Yeah, and then tier 7 would have to go up against only tier 8s and I guess maybe legendary tier. I don't think tier 7 can go up against legendary tier. In fact, I've been playing this game long enough to remember when tier 7s had to go against legendary tiers, right? This is before or when tier 8s was, kind of beginning to come into the game, right? They were making their way in, so tier 7 had to go against the legendary tier, and it wasn't fun, right? You're sailing around in your Iowa only to get blown into the Shadow Realm by the Yamato so fast it makes your head spin. So no, I guess it is what it is, right? It's one of those things where it just is what it is. Wargaming just needs to do a better job at balancing the tier 6s better, right? I think these tier 6s, they do need to be balanced better. But if you are to buff these tier 6s, then you're gonna have to buff the tier 5 because now it becomes that same problem, right? The tier 5s dominated by tier 6s, right? So yeah, it's just I don't know. There's no answer for that. But yeah, that's a good take right there. That is a good take. Yes, tier 6s shouldn't go against tier 7s. But I know there's going to be a lot of people that probably have a lot to say about this one. Yeah. Hot take number 3, and maybe the most annoying hot take, right? Wargaming should bring submarines to the game. Now, this has been a hot take for the last 4 years, really. It's been the argument. Now, I disagree. Of course, 100%. I disagree with this take, but I do understand that wargaming will most likely eventually bring submarines to the game. I don't see any way or any I don't see how they're not going to bring these. They're going to have to keep the game interesting at some point, right? To keep the game interesting. Now, why do I have Shimakaze here for this take? Well, submarines are going to be even more annoying, right? They're going to be more annoying to deal with than the Shimakaze. That's what's going to happen. Now, why would anyone want this into the game or want submarines to come to the game? I have no clue, right? I don't know. But eventually, I think you're going to get your wish, right? You're going to get your wish. And then after you get your wish, you're going to wish you didn't wish that, if that makes any sense. You're going to wish you didn't wish upon a star for submarines. Now, submarines have arguably ruined World of Warships PC. So bringing them to Legends, well, I don't expect any different, right? They'll be interesting at first, but then they'll probably get annoying. They'll probably get annoying. But yes, I totally disagree with that take. Hot take number 4. Matchmaking sucks. Now, I agree with that to an extent. Now, I agree with it being a battleship main. I don't like when I'm going up against more than 3 destroyers per side, right? I don't like games where there's 5 destroyers per side, 4 destroyers per side. It's simply not fun. But if you are maybe a cruiser player or a destroyer player, maybe some kind of aspect of matchmaking may annoy you. But for me, as a battleship main, I don't like seeing more than 3 destroyers. In fact, I would rather it be 2 destroyers per side, right? 2 destroyers per side, and not every game is a CV game, because sometimes it feels that way when you're playing tier 7 and lower, right? It's always it's for some reason it feels like there's just now always a CV. Sometimes I wish that I can have a good stretch of games where there's no CVs, and I mean again in the tiers from 7 and lower, right? Because tier 8s and legendary tiers, you're not going to see a lot of CVs up there. But yeah, anything lower than those, yeah, CVs, sometimes I need a break, okay, from the CVs. But yeah, matchmaking could be better. But yeah, I don't think that will ever get fixed or ever changed. That's one of those things where it is what it is. So like I said, I agree with this take to an extent. Yes, to an extent. And hot take number 5, the Napoli is overrated. I disagree. I'm sorry, I have to disagree with that. I just got the Napoli and I like it. Personally, I like it. I think it's good. It's very, very tanky. And after that update or buff, now that the secondaries have a longer reach, it makes this ship even that more fun, in my opinion. Combine that with this camo. Okay, this camo is maybe the best camo in the game, in my opinion. The best camo in the game. The only thing I wish they would do with the Napoli is give it that secondary enhance consumable, right? Is it a consumable? Yes. Give us the secondary enhanced consumable. Maybe here where we can take out the catapult fighter. And yeah, I think it should have that to even extend that secondary range and make the secondary guns that much more fun to use. That's the only thing, that's the only problem I have with the Napoli at this moment or at this time. Yeah. Also, I wish Wargaming would give us, maybe this is another hot take in my my own hot take here. Wargaming should give us secondary focused commanders for cruisers, right? Because we're stuck using battleship commanders on cruisers that have long secondary range guns. And I know there's not enough, maybe there's not enough cruisers with secondary guns or secondary range to take advantage of. So they won't want to, give us a commander that's for cruisers, because again, there's just simply not enough ships. But still, at least give us those commanders for the Italians and maybe the Germans, and now the French with the Corneau now having a longer secondary range and a better improved secondary guns. So yeah, I wish Wargaming would do that. Give us cruiser commanders that are secondary ranged focus or secondary gun focused. Now that's a hot take right there. Now that's a hot take. So I guess we have 6 hot takes in this video, right? But hey, yeah, that's all I got. Again, leave your comments in that comment section. Give me your hot take. Okay, what is your random hot take in this game, right? Anything that you think that no one else will probably agree with you, right? Leave it in the comment section and I may or may not use it in the next video, right? But hey, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.
Enemy cruiser sunk.